Okay, we are recording for English 104 and we're recording just content. So we are working on building a thesis or crafting your thesis. So in our Moodle page, under resources, one of them says thesis generator. And when you click on it, it takes you to the Empire State University. And when you click in, you're going to want to click on persuasive essay. And here are the questions it's going to ask you, and it's kind of like a plug and play. You just plug it in and it will build your thesis with you. Now, this is not perfect, but it'll get you a really good start in crafting a thesis. So it'll ask you several questions, and we're just going to do some practicing with it so I can show you. So the first question is going to ask, what's the topic you want to write about? So in this particular item, we chose congressional term limits. Then what's the main opinion on your topic? That we should not have congressional term limits in the United States. And then what's the strongest reason supporting your opinion? Prevents a loss of experience and expertise. What's another strong reason supporting it? It enables the voters to decide if their statesman is representing them adequately. And then one more, final third reason that supporting your opinion is it prevents a lame duck Congress. Now, what is the main argument against your opinion? So what is the counter argument to this for term limits?
That's probably that it prevents like a geriocracy, which is a big criticism of Congress currently and the government. So it gets people who are way too old to represent our interests out of Congress.
Prevents a I'm not sure how to spell geriocracy.
I don't think it's a dictionary word.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's.
That's a word that you made up, is what you're saying?
No, I think it's just, I've heard it before, but I think it's just slang.
Well, you know what, let's ask Google.
Yeah.
Geriocracy, and if nothing else, it'll get me. It's not giving me anything.
Yeah.
Maybe it's geriocracy. I don't know. Let's find out. Dentocracy? No, it's a form. Oh yeah, no, that's what we want. Geriatricity. Yes, that's the word we want.
There you go.
Hey, now I just got to spell it. Okay. I have to go back to my Geron. And TOCRACY. Okay, I learned a new word today.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, and then the last thing we want is what's a possible title? So give me a title.
Why we shouldn't have congressional term limits?
Well, remember, you want kind of your opinion in there, so how about abolish congressional? I mean, that's kind of strong, but let's go for it. Congressional term limits. Okay. And remember, this is just our working draft. You're gonna change, rearrange. So let's submit this and see what it looks like. So when I put all my voodoo in there, I'm submitting, and now over on the right-hand side, it's going to give me my working copy of my thesis. So over here, it talks about some of the areas that we've done, gives me each part of it, claim, support, that kind of a thing. And then when you put it all together, you get a working thesis. So they give me several different samples. Let's try this particular one, number 3. I like this one the best. Since, we want to start with our claim. We should not have congressional term limits, or I'm sorry, congressional term limits should not be in place, right? Because it prevents the loss of experience and expertise, enables voters to decide if the statesman adequately represents them, and prevents a lame duck Congress. Now, you can combine right here with the other one, and then what you're doing is you're combining these elements to craft your own thesis, but you can use these elements to make it sound better. So when we look at these pieces, I mean, I really like a couple of these if we combine them. So we should not have congressional term limits in place because it prevents the loss of experience and expertise. It enables voters to decide if the statesman adequately represents them and prevents a lame duck Congress. Sentence 1. Sentence 2. Although some might argue that it prevents a gerontocracy, which is that word that we just learned, right? So remember, you're gonna have at least 2 to 3 sentences, and if you combine these elements, take a piece of this, piece of that, you should be able to craft your thesis statement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I said, this is not perfect, but it gives you a nice start. The formula, which is here, format claim, because, reason, and reason. And then your second part, the counter, you want to make sure you also address within the thesis. And that's usually an although. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's one part of what you're doing. So on our Moodle page in module 11, that will help you in building your thesis. So for the thesis building forum, essentially you are answering the questions, combining those answers to do a working thesis, okay? Which is kind of what I showed you on the generator. So I would say use a generator to help you answer these questions, combine it. Remember, I am looking in the discussion forum for the formula. I want the formula, so I do want you to use that formula. Your thesis statement has to have the topic, has to have your stance, and it has to have the rationale, in other words, the why. Okay, so make sure all 3 of those are included to have a good working thesis, okay? So that's what you're doing for the discussion forum. For the outline, so the other second assignment is I want you to submit a working outline of your essay. So your outline, it does not matter to me. It's called an informal outline because I do not require you to have a formal like Roman numeral 1, letter A, all those kinds of things. I do not require you to adhere to that. However, you need to have some sort of a structure on your outline that I can follow, and it really should be kind of the bones of your essay. And the bones of your essay are, in other words, I can see the parts you're gonna cover. You may not have all the details, but I can clearly see, okay, what you're gonna talk about in the introduction, your thesis, and then what's your main point in what main support in body 1, body 2, body 3, and then where's your counter argument? What's gonna be included there? So for this one, a very helpful thing. Now there's different structures, okay? So let me show you those structures. Each one of these structures, so for example, structure 1, you have your introduction, talk about what you're gonna tell in the introduction. Body paragraph 1 is gonna help you frame your debate. Paragraph 2, here's your claim. Claim 2, in other words, these are the things in support of these, okay? And then a counter argument to come after it. And you're gonna do that for sample 1. And I give you an example here. Framing the debate, drone strikes, pro and con. Paragraph 2 and 3, your first claim, it's safer to kill the enemy. In claim 2, cheaper than long-term use of soldiers. What's the main counter argument to those? It causes collateral damage. Why is that counter argument wrong? In other words, how are you addressing that counter argument? It's gonna exist no matter what. And then limit other types of expensive tech needed. Okay, that's another claim. And you're gonna go on, whoops, sorry, I'm going to the wrong page, gotta come up here. And then you're gonna have a conclusion. So this is only one structure. A second structure is when you have multiple counter arguments. When you have multiple, so for example, in the first one, you only have one major counter argument that you're addressing. In structure 2, you may have multiple counter arguments for each of your claims. So in that case, you're going to have that right after every single one of your claims. So for example, body paragraph 1, frame your debate, body paragraph 2, what do others say? 3 and 4, here's your claim 1. Right after that, what do others say? Do that again for whatever amount of claims you have. Typically, you have 3. Okay. A third option for you is that you just simply address the counter as it occurs. So it may not be after every claim, it may only be select ones, and you would address them as they occur or if they are needed. Now, this is just kind of an example of different types of structures. But what I think you're gonna find the most helpful is this one right here. I provide you a sample argument outline. And this is kind of a classic model for building an argument, which is, by the way, what you're doing. Your persuasive essay is kind of building an argument. And so again, you have your introductory paragraph, this is setting the stage, kind of giving context, all that kind of thing. And don't forget, you need your thesis at the end of that introduction. Then you're gonna have the body of your argument. Body of your argument, you give a little bit of background information, give your reasons or evidence to support your claim, okay? However many claims there are, in other words, how much you have. As a general rule, once again, you have 3. And then again, you're going to do the second part of your essay, addressing the opposite side or the counter to your claims. And you can do this in the first one, the second one, or if there's only one or all 3, okay? And then finally, you're gonna end with your conclusion. So students have told me they find this very helpful, and what they do is they download this and use it as a template. They take out what's there and put in their information under each one. So remember, when you are building your outline, I need to see enough of the information that I know what you're going to be including, okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out on your outline, let me get out of that one. Oops, sorry. I lost my little page. I clicked out accidentally, sorry. One of the things that I want to talk to you about with your outline is I need to see where you're gonna apply your information. So don't just say, for example, claim 1, it prevents a loss of expertise and experience. Well, somewhere in there, I want you to show me or say what you're gonna be using from your research in there. So you could say, plan to integrate quote from whatever it is, the sources. I want to quick show you. Oh, you know what? I wonder if. Give me a second here. Module 11, gotta get there. This is just a resource. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to kind of show you how to do that, but I don't have a sample with that, but I'll see if I can find one for you. But essentially, don't forget, in your outline, you are telling me the structure, in other words, what you're gonna have and this. You don't need to give me full sentences or that kind of thing. Bullet points are fine. but I need to be able to tell what sources you're gonna use for each of the items. Okay? All right. I am going to stop recording.